Before you go any further, look below and click the subscribe button.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in Sustainable Growth. We are excited today to have Nadia on with us, and she is a speaker and consultant. And I came across her on LinkedIn. I seek out people on social media, seeing what they're doing, follow them for a moment. And I decided to ask her, if she wanted to be on, and we finally found a time to where she could jump on and talk to us today. So thank you so much, Nadia, for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Would you like to start the show with
Sure, tell us a
intro?
little bit about, what you've been doing and what brought you to this point.
Okay, sure. Well, my educational background was in business. So both my bachelor and master's degree was in business administration. And after finishing my master's degree, I came back to where I live now, which is Thailand, and I worked for L'Oreal, so the cosmetic company, and I was a product manager for a makeup brand, L'Oreal Paris. And I worked for other Fortune 500 companies like Unilever, and they were mostly fast-moving consumer good companies. And after a few years, I wanted to start a family, and I knew that corporate life was not for me. It was something temporary, but it wasn't going to be long term. And so I left the corporate world and I started my first formal business, I have to say, because even in my teenage years, I started several other businesses. I was always an entrepreneur in a way. And so I started a child development center. And that's when I really found my passion in psychology and personal development. I helped parents, I consulted with parents and helped them when they had challenges in raising their kids. So the goal was to raise high self-esteem kids that had resilience, just building the future. We wanted really to raise future leaders, kids that would go up and become really good people and successful and had confidence and ethics and integrity and all those good things. And that transitioned through the years into coaching adults. So what I do now is I work with CEOs, entrepreneurs, high-level executives, mostly in the area of building an expert-based business. And that could be coaching, that could be consulting, that could be an agency, or I could work with practitioners that are an expert in their field. And I work with clients that are already in doing business. They have decades and decades of experience. And the other group are executives that are leaving the corporate world with decades of experience, and now they want to start their own thing. And what I do with these clients is two things. So one side of it is the business strategy, and the other side is the personal development side. So a lot of work on the psychology side, on helping them reinvent themselves, meaning they're still being themselves, but in an authentic way, but they have to reinvent themselves so that they are more aligned with who they truly want to be. A lot of people that have been in the corporate world view themselves as an employee, not as a business owner. So many parts of their identity need to be reinvented and elevated into the version that they truly want to be in order to build a successful business. And so that's what I do now.
Wow. So, that's, a lot being able to, from your background and transition into, becoming a business owner and doing it for yourself. So that's where, a lot of people in corporate America don't know how to make the shift and really, dig in deep to say, okay, what is my talent? What is my skill? How can I shift and transition into that? So can you share a little bit about, when you was in corporate America, wanting to have the family and making that transition from being the employee to the business owner?
Well, for me, I just decided to leave. So I found it a little bit easy for me because I never envisioned myself working in corporate in the corporate world forever anyways. It was just
Mhm.
something that I was going to do for, 5 years, 6 years. And then eventually I was going to leave and start my own thing. So it was for the experience. I was in corporate world to have the experience in the business world, in the marketing world. And so for me, I just left and I just decided to start something. I even started some other things while I'm in my teenage years. Like I always say, my first business was when I was 13, and I would sell these stationery to friends at my school. So I think the key really is to follow what makes you feel alive, what you're passionate about. And it's not necessarily that you're going to get it right the first time, but as long as you keep moving towards something that you feel you love to do, you enjoy doing, and you're really great at doing that thing, it utilizes your strengths and your personality type and all these things, then when you enjoy something, it means something to you, and you have a purpose, you're helping someone through that business, you keep going, despite the obstacles, the difficulties, and everything, you still keep going. And so even if you don't get into the right business the first time, you just keep going. So I actually grew out of the child development center business and transition into working with adults and people, grown-ups instead, because I felt I wanted to work directly with the people that I was impacting. Like I wanted to coach people, and working with kids at that time wasn't something that I wanted to do anymore. It was good experience. It led me into working with people and realizing my passion for psychology and self-development. But it was it was a guide to get me to the place that I was supposed to be. So it was kind of like a milestone. It was the experience that got me to where I am today. And
Wow.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about from personal development. As you know, there's a lot of people out here putting coach in their name, and you have lifestyle coach and all these other different types of coaches. Um, Tell us the difference between the life coach and personal development.
Well, I have to say, like, personal development is a field, right? So it's I don't know what to call it. It's like it's this space where we have personal development books, we have workshops, we have seminars, we have all these people coming out into the world of social
Mhm.
media and
Yeah.
teaching all these great things, right? Which, some are really an expert, they know what they're talking about,
Mhm.
and some really do, um, without knowing, sometimes give harmful information, which is incorrect sometimes. So sadly we do see some of that. But let's talk about coaching. So I can talk about this because I am a certified coach. So when I got into coaching, I went all in and I got certified at the master certified coach level, which is like the highest level.
Mhm.
So people usually get certified through different certifying bodies. And I got certified through the International Coach Federation, or the ICF. And basically what coaching is not about going out and telling people how to live their lives or how you should make decisions. It's not that at all. But a lot of people think that's what it is, but it's not. So it's different from other professionals, like a motivational speaker. It's different from a consultant. It's different from a trainer, from a teacher. It's different from all that. So what is coaching? Coaching is, I'll try to explain in a way where it's not technical, but it's about, when I'm a coach,
Mhm.
I'm listening to my coachee, which is a client, and I'm listening and reading between the lines. I'm trying to use my intuition to understand what this person's saying that they
Mhm.
don't already know. So I'm looking for the insights, the golden nuggets in what this person is sharing. What are their struggles? Why are they telling me this? And what's the problem behind everything they're telling me, right? And I help them kind of untangle this these unorganized thoughts that they have, and helping them realize, okay, what's the truth? What are you really struggling with? And what's the solution for you? But they actually find their own solution through this process, because a solution that if I came up with a solution, it might not work for my client, because everybody's life is different. Everybody has different resources and the situation is different. So coaching is about helping the client get out of the maze. Like, we're in the maze together. I'm not telling you how to get out, but I'm going through this coaching process to help you find the solution for you. So that's coaching. And so when we say life coaching, it's coaching about everything in their life, whether it's their goals, their relationships, their career, everything. And so some people niche down and they be more specific. So I'm a career coach, or I'm a life coach, or I'm a relationship coach. And they niche down, they choose, which area of development they want to work with their clients with the most. And usually it's the area of where they're most passionate about.
How many times have you gone store to store looking for the perfect party accessories and could never find that perfect design? So you had to settle for what you could find. Look no further. Party Elements has the perfect party decor for any occasion. From cupcake toppers, candy buffet themes, plate settings with the option of custom plates, wine glasses, custom pins, greeting cards, and so much more. Get your custom or ready-made party accessories for any occasion from Party Elements. At Party Elements, entertaining has never been so stylish. Reach out to Party Elements at partyelements.net or Etsy at Party Elements by SD. When would a person know that they need to contact someone like you said, on a personal development? Why do I need to contact you? Why, or how can that help me from where I am to whatever that destination may be?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, there's different groups of people. Usually there are people that are constantly wanting to develop themselves. So they keep elevating. So these group of people will always have a mentor, always have a coach. They will never not have a coach, because they know the value of having a coach. And no matter how successful, no matter how happy they are, they will always have a coach, because they know that they can become a better version of themselves. That's why they choose to have a coach. And then there's another group of people that, sometimes they hit rock bottom, they go through some sort of obstacle in life, there's a struggle, there's a problem that they can't solve on their own, and they might choose to work with a coach for a year or 6 months or multiple years to make that big jump in their life, to kind of reinvent themselves or transform themselves from version 2.0 to 5.0. And then, they say, I'm happy, and then I'm done. So either it comes from a point of I love self-development, I want to become the best version, I want to make the most impact in the world, or they come across some sort of challenge in their life that they can't solve, and it's been going on for a while, and they realize that, the source of this problem is actually me. I'm getting in my own way of success and happiness. And that's the other reason that they would hire a coach. But in general, everybody benefits from having a coach, because your life can always be better, and you can always be better. And this is something most people don't understand, but it's the reality. You can always become better, and there's always something that you don't know about yourself, that you don't see about yourself. There's always blind spot, right? So having a coach always benefits you.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness is so big. There's all these different type of assessments out there, and some of the popular ones are like your Kobe, Strength Finder, and I've of course taken them, and also the DISC. And, sometimes people look at these like, oh, well, this is what I want to be. I'm going to take the test so it can show I'm this or I'm that, and not really realizing that the test, it is what it is. Even though the questions are like super, super simple questions, but those assessments are what they are. Do you recommend to your clients to take assessments before you start working with them or in the middle of your process?
Usually there are two personality types assessments that I personally use and I'm certified on, that I will get every client to do before they meet up with me.
Okay.
But we have to go through a verifying process, and that's done in person to verify that you're actually that type. So those are the Myers-Briggs. So people know it as the 16 personality types, or the MBTI. That one is one of the assessments that I use. The other one is the Enneagram. And the Enneagram is not just your personality type on a cognitive level, but it goes into your heart center, your body center, your mental center. So it goes deeper. It goes into like your core fear. And both of these personality types is you're born with it. So people say they evolve as you grow. Yes, your personality changes, but you don't really change your core personality. And so those are the assessments that I get my clients to do, and we verify the type for their own understanding of themselves, and they learn about why they're different from other people. They start to empathize with other people. And when we learn these things, we understand that difference is actually good. It's a sort, like, people fight when they're different, right? But when they understand that, oh, it's actually a gift. Being different is a gift, and everybody's different. Everybody brings their own gift to the table. And you have your own weaknesses as well. You have your own blind spots as well. And so it really helps with developing emotional intelligence and relationships and leadership and all sorts of things. And for me as a coach, it's really beneficial for me because I get to understand my client. Now, a misunderstanding about personality types is it's like people think it's to put you into a box. But the reality is the opposite. It's to get you out of the box. Because you've been stuck in this box since forever without knowing.
Yeah.
You have these autopilot, like you're on autopilot. You have these automatic behaviors and thoughts and feelings, but you just didn't know about it. And now that you're learning about it, you start to observe yourself. Oh, well, that was automatic, and this is automatic, and it's so related to your personality type. How you show up, what you say, how you feel about things, how you perceive people. And so those are the two tools that I use the most, and it's to help the client get out of their automatic way of being so that they can be more flexible in different situations and in different relationships when being their automatic self is not helpful at that moment.
Right.
And
would you think that it's fair to say, especially as adults, that going through a process like this, that they should unlearn and relearn?
Well, it's not for them to abandon their autopilot, but it's for them to be more flexible, right? Okay. So for example, I'm a thinker. So usually I will approach everything from a pro and con, a super logical way of thinking, in looking at information and making a decision about that situation or that person, right? But say, for example, in a personal relationship, having logic and using logic in every situation probably will not work well, right? So I have to flex and use the feeler mode, which is the other preference. We call it a preference. So instead of using thinking, okay, so let's put the relationship above logic in this situation, for example. Let's empathize. Okay, it might not feel like this person's thinking correctly according to my logic, but let's empathize where they're coming from and how are they feeling, that kind of thing. So we all have both. We're both feeler and thinker, but we just have a natural preference to go one way. We'll first go to the one that we're most used to, which is our nature. We're born with it. But we have the power, the willpower to flex to the other side. It's the same thing as using your left and right hand. Like I'm left-handed, but if I broke my left-handed, or in this situation, using the left hand is not working, I would have to use my right hand. It would take more effort for sure, but I can do it, right? And it's the same thing with personality as well. So you can flex it, and you can choose to consciously be flexible and use what's most useful in that situation.
You want to be known as the subject matter expert in your industry? Scan the QR code today to take advantage of the $200 discount for a brand assessment. The assessment will give you a summary of how your brand can step up a notch to get noticed. We have been seen in various platforms and have gained credibility and are known as the subject matter expert for digital media and branding. Sign up today for a brand assessment and a one-on-one consultation with me, Melissa Ambers. Don't get left behind. It's time for your brand to stand out. Interesting. What are some myths that are out there that you hear, just talking to people, or when you start working with a new client, they come in with this expectation of XYZ, and you have to clarify. So what are some of those myths or misconceptions that people have when working with someone like you?
Well, I think the first thing that comes up to mind for me is that they think, well, it's not everybody. I find that most people that have had a coach before, that have done the deep one-on-one inner work before, they already know that it's on them. They take 100% responsibility for everything. But then if we're talking about clients that have never had a coach before, maybe they had a mentor, maybe they did some training in the personal development space, and they haven't really gone through the deep inner work, it can really surprise them, because they will show up and they will think that I, the coach, will solve the problems for them. I will automatically have this technique that will help them shift their mindset in a short period of time. It's going to be easy. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be a super great experience. They're going to feel great about themselves. So these are kind of like the misconceptions.
Right.
They think that's what's going to happen. But what I do is I had enough experience to know that now I pre-frame them that this is what's going to happen. This is actually the truth. This is what's going to happen. It's going to feel uncomfortable. There are going to be situations, there are going to be times during coaching where you will even be angry at me, when your ego gets triggered, when I reflect some truth to you, I'm not going to be attached to that truth. But if it shows up enough times, I'm picking this up and I reflected to you, you've denied it 5 times, for example, like, okay, there's something here. I don't know what's here. Let's explore. But if you keep denying, then there's no work to be done here. Like there's nothing's going to happen. If you keep doing this, you're staying where you are. And these things I try to pre-frame before we even start coaching, so that they don't get like super surprised when it actually happens.
Right.
And when it happens, I can say, remember that time when we talked about this happening? Well, this is what it is. And we can kind of laugh about it and bring humor into that as well.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Because been there, done that. Sometimes it can feel like a gut punch. And the angry part is, you get to a point sometimes it's like, I know she didn't talk to me like that. Was she married? You really get in your feelings sometimes as you're going through those stages, and experiencing that, I know, and you are telling the truth. It will happen. And it's that awareness of, we have in our head, oh, well, I don't do this, or I'm not like this, or, we have this of what we think we are, but not the reality of what people really see in you. And sometimes it's pulling out things that either we have suppressed, or we just really didn't realize. And as you go through these stages, and you start pulling and tugging at some of these things, sometimes it's like, oh, great, cool, yes. And then some things you're like, rah, so
Yeah.
that is absolutely true of being open and transparent and truly taking off that mask and being willing to flex, and do the things need to do. So you are absolutely right on that. Been there, done that a few times. So once you work with the person and say they get to the other side, they've gone through your process and everything, and is there a point where you feel, okay, my job is done, you no longer need me, we'll just do maintenance, monthly, quarterly, or whatever? Or do you put it in their hands to say, I'm good?
I really work with clients long term. I have this concept that I talk about called client for life. So when someone becomes my client, they become kind of like a family member in a way. And I enjoy working with people long term, not even a year, but multiple years.
Yeah.
And there's always work to be done. There's always work to be done. So I never really tell a client that, hey, you've arrived at the finish line, because there's no finish line in life. There's no finish line. There's no such thing. It's an ongoing process. And that is another myth, or that's another misunderstanding, that there is a finish line. So clients will come like, okay, how many months will it take to do the work?
Right.
Like, I want to arrive there. Well, there's no arriving there, because there's no, there's no finish line. And so, as long as clients feel that they want to keep doing the work, they will keep working with me. And in the case where they choose to go work with someone else, it's usually because there's an area or a skill that they really need to improve. And in that case, if I see that that's most beneficial for them for these 2 years, for example, I will agree with them. I'll like, yeah, I agree. Like, it's really, I help them come to a decision. I don't tell them like, hey, work with me or not work with me. It's totally their choice. And even sometimes I would say they still want to hang on to this relationship, right? They still want to like, oh, I still need to do work. But if I feel that, I think this year you should be working on speaking skills, for example, and I'm not a speaking coach, like I'm not great at this, right? So I would tell them to go work with a speaking coach, a voice coach, or something like that for this year, because it doesn't make sense for you to hire like 5 coaches in 1 year. You won't have the time or the resources to be doing all that work. That would be one of the reasons, or an example or a situation that I would really agree or even push them to go work with someone else.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And that's why I kind of want to ask that question, because, that is sometimes what people think, okay, well, I'll go through coaching for 6 months or a year. But it's as we are living, things change. We change. Our surroundings change, and you never know what's going to happen or what you may go through to where you're going to need to go back and refresh. I look at it, you have to keep changing the oil in your car. Even though you bought a brand new car, you still have to keep changing the oil and filters in that car. You can't say, oh, it's brand new, I don't have to worry about it for, another year or so. You have to keep doing it. And that was an event that I had, and the speaker there, we always hear this saying, oh, you are enough, you're this, you're enough. And in the middle of her talk, she said, I cannot stand the term you are enough. And the gas in the room was like, what? And she was like, I do not like that term, because if I am enough now, I'm never going to get any better. I'm stuck here. And it was like, oh, wow. Okay. I get it. So I think that goes back to, us always being, having that person whether it's like I said, mentor, coach, personal development, and just really constantly looking at ourselves, not to say we're bad or we're in this place to where, you know, you're being ugly to people or anything, but just that maintenance, if you will. You may have a different term for it, but just the maintenance, if you will, with keeping ourselves where we need to be and constantly being a better person. Is there anything else about personal development that we need to know, and some of the things that we may need that we may see to say, you know what, I need to, you know, talk to somebody. So what are some of those things that we can be aware of or that we may just need to know?
Well, I would say it can come from two places. So like I gave an example at the beginning where you might be happy, like in general, happy and satisfied. You feel you're successful with what you're doing. But if you find yourself kind of daydreaming or envisioning, maybe a better word for, you know, what if and you start this sentence like, what if I could do this? Or what if this happened for me? Or is this possible for me? Or you see someone else doing something, maybe it's a business or someone showing up in a way, and you're like, wow, to be this person is really cool. I'd really aspire to be someone like this. Like if these kind of thoughts come up for you, it's showing you the possibility of who you can be, the life that you can create. And you don't have to have a problem in life to work with on your personal development or your personal growth, right? It's actually a need. Growth is a high level need. It's beyond a basic need, from food and air and all those basic physiology, like those basic needs, right? Growth is kind of like at the self-esteem level, at the self-actualization level, where you really need to grow and become a better version of yourself, to unleash your potential. So it's a high level need that creates such fulfillment for human beings. And so if those thoughts come up for you and you really aspire to be, you know, like, you might not think it's possible, but if these thoughts come up for you, it means that it's your mind, your subconscious is showing you what's possible for you. There's a reason you're having these thoughts, right? And then on the other side, if you like clearly know you're not fulfilled with your life, like there's something you're blaming, you're like unsatisfied, you feel bad, like about your career, your relationship, or anything. And you really have to sit down with those uncomfortable feelings, because those feelings are telling you something, that some sort of change needs to happen in your life. And our brain or ego will always give you information that is not true. It will keep telling you, well, it's somebody else's fault, right? It's the boss's fault. It's my spouse's fault. It's my children's fault, or whatever. But no, the truth is, I'm not saying it's your fault, but you have 100% control over what happens in your life. I don't know when it's going to happen. Like if you do the work, we can't say, okay, you're going to arrive here at this milestone in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. We never know. We can't say, right? But the important thing is you're having progress. You're getting closer. You're doing something. And by doing something and getting closer to where you want to be, that itself brings fulfillment already, because you are growing. You know you're doing something to get there. It's not about the finish line. It's about the journey that brings us that satisfaction, that fulfillment, that happiness. And that is another misconception. People think it's about when I get that car, when I arrive at that finish line, when I create that 9-figure business or whatever, then I'm going to be like elated or happy or whatever. But it's actually the journey. Like getting the prize is great too, but it's very temporary. It's like you get this hit of dopamine and then it's gone. Then what's next, right? So we need to really train ourselves and go against what the message of the social media world is telling us. It's not about the finish line. It's about the journey. It definitely is about the journey. And I think that's an important message that people need to know.
Wow, I love that. I love that. But Nadia, thank you so much for jumping on and having this conversation. Let us know how people can reach you, social media, email, whatever your contact information is.
Yeah, well, people can email me or visit me on my website. There's also a free business quiz. So if you're a coach, consultant, practitioner, and you want to up-level your business, I work with outliers. I work with people that want to be exceptional at what they do. They want to up-level, raise the bar in their industry so that they can serve their clients in the best way. I have a free quiz. People can go to my website, nidaleard.com, to complete that quiz, or you can email me at nida@nidaleard.com, and I'm reachable on all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Find me anywhere and message me. I will definitely for you. Yeah.
What is your handle on social media? Is it Nida Learn as well?
Yes.
Okay.
There's Nida Leard, and there's Nida Leard Official on Instagram, and on LinkedIn it will be Nida Leardprasopsuk. So I could give this to you and put it on the show notes later, because I know my name is really long.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Follow us on our Instagram at Savvy Mag Biz, and on our YouTube channel, Savvy the Business Podcast. Thank you for joining us on Savvy the Business Podcast. If you want to be a guest, send an email to media@savvymag.biz. That's media@savvymag.biz. Don't miss out on the opportunity to be heard by millions.